Hello, my dear friends. My dear friends, I'm once again back with the summary of William Faulkner's second published novel, Mosquitoes. Before I start summarizing this novel, I would like to give you some very important facts related to this novel. Like, the novel was published in the year 1927. Remember that. This was the second published novel. First, Soldier's Pay. Just as Soldier's Pay was published by Boney and Leverright, in the same manner this novel was too published by Boney and Leverright in the year 1927. The setting of the novel is, remember, very important, New Orleans and a yacht, Y-A-C-H-T, yacht, a ship, a boat by the name Nausicaa. The time mentioned in the novel is late summer, when mosquitoes plague New Orleans. It is probably because of that just William Faulkner titled this novel Mosquitoes. Next, Faulkner wrote this novel only for fun because he thought writing was a fun. So only for the sake of fun he wrote this novel. The central character of the novel is Ernest Taliaferro. Remember, a man who deals in those clothes the widows wear. Remember that. Wholesale seller of those clothes widow women wear. Second very important character, Gordon, a sculptor, S-C-U-L-P-T-O-R, sculptor, who makes statues of stones, idols, so on and so forth, who is very much reserved or does not talk a lot or does not talk a great deal. Third, very important, last but not the least, very important, third very important character, that Mrs. Patricia Moria, a rich lady, a rich woman, very much fond of art and sculpture, and does decide to host a four-day just trip on her yacht, on which, or just on this trip, and on this trip she invites large number of the people with this intention that she will have good time with these people, discussing a lot, discussing art and sculpture a lot. So now let's look at the summary and some other important facts of this novel without any further ado. See, the novel Mosquitoes, second published novel in 1927, published by Boney and Leverright. Setting, the city of New Orleans and yacht, I told you, Nausicaa. Time, late summer. Now, novel divided into 6 sections, a prologue that introduces characters, the next 4 sections, each of which describes a day on yacht, trip hour by hour, and epilogue means last section, that is the 6th section, gets back to the characters of the boat. So total 6 sections. This novel has the first section, that is prologue, that is all about the introduction, that introduces all the characters mentioned in this novel. The second section, all about the first day on the yacht. The third section, all about the second day on the yacht. The fourth section, all about the third day on the yacht, the ship, the boat, Nausicaa. The fifth section, all about the fourth day on the yacht or ship or boat by the name Nausicaa. And last but not the least, sixth section, that is the epilogue, that sees all the people back to that place from where they started, that water trip, that journey on a yacht, and from where they start, from where do they start? New Orleans, remember that. So now let's look at the summary. The novel opens in the apartment of Gordon, important character, a sculptor. Taliaferro, full name Ernest Taliaferro. What is he by profession? A wholesale seller of those clothes widow wear. So Taliaferro, his friend of Gordon, and the protagonist of the novel, remember that, joins him where? In his apartment. Watches Gordon chiseling, means cutting a statue. Taliaferro, Miss Ernest Taliaferro, goes talking on and on about his abilities with women. The artist, means Gordon, works non-stop, giving his yes to all his claims, but speaks not even a single word. But takes a rain check when invited to attend a boat trip hosted by a rich Mrs. Patricia Moria. Remember that. So this happens in the. So how does the novel begin? In the first section, that is the prologue, we see, or the first section, means the prologue opens in the apartment, means in the flat, in the house of Gordon, a sculptor by profession, who is reticent, does not believe in talk a lot. In the first section, Gordon is seen working on a marble statue. While he is busy working on a marble statue, his friend Ernest Taliaferro joins him, and they engage in a conversation in which this young man Taliaferro goes talking non-stop and displaying his ability, and he displays his ability, or he brags about his ability with the women, that how smart he is, how clever he is in drawing the attention of the women, because he knows how to get into the heart of the women. He's seen talking on and on and on. In the meantime, or at the same time, Gordon only says yes, but speaks not even probably a single word. It happens. Then Taliaferro tells Gordon that actually there is a rich lady by the name Mrs. Patricia Moria, who has hosted a yacht trip on her yacht by the name Nausicaa for 4 days. And he invites Gordon to join them, but he takes a rain check. He politely declines. He politely rejects the invitation or the offer. Now further what happens? Talia leaves to get a bottle of milk for Gordon and meet Mrs. Moria with her niece Pat. They together get back to the artist and Moria herself offers him to be part of the trip. And he consents because attracted to Pat. Talia Farrow leaves the apartment. Again they meet at dinner with some other characters. So see, here Talia Farrow tells him about that trip, that 4-day journey on a yacht. And this journey or the trip is hosted by a rich lady, Mrs. Patricia Moria. He invites just Gordon, but he takes a rain check. Then he leaves the apartment, means the flat of Gordon, for bringing a bottle of milk for Gordon. There at the marketplace, he comes across, or he meets, you can say he meets Mrs. Patricia Moria with her niece Pat. And from there together, these three people come to the apartment of Gordon. And there, when Mrs. Moria gets to know about this sculptor, she invites him on that trip on her yacht. And to the surprise of Talia Farrow, he accepts. Why? Because later on it is revealed that he gets interested or gets attracted to Pat, Mrs. Patricia Moria's niece, and because of that he accepts. After that, Talia Farrow leaves Gordon with Mrs. Patricia Moria and her niece Pat, moves through the just market of just New Orleans, and we get a chance to see the New Orleans city with the lenses of Talia Farrow. Once again, Talia Farrow with some other just characters of this novel just gets back to the just apartment of Gordon for a dinner, and they have the dinner together. This is the first section, that is the prologue of the novel. Now see the second section. The first day. The second part, the first day means this first day on the just boat. That happens in the second part of the novel, second section. The second part sees Mrs. Moria greeting all the guests on the Nausicaa, that is the name of the yacht. The men on the trip are more interested in women and drinking than discussing art and sculpture. First day, that is second section ends. So see, the second section that describes the first day of the passengers or of the people on the yacht. There we see people are more interested in talking about women and drinking, and there is nobody who has a little bit desire and liking for talking about art and sculpture. It hurts Mrs. Patricia Moria, a patron and lover of art and sculpture. With the cliffhanger, see how does the first part end? With the cliffhanger when Taliaferro lets everyone know that he has his eyes on a woman on the ship without taking name. And the second section that describes the first day on the yacht ends with a cliffhanger, with a suspense. And what happens in the end? Just Taliaferro declares that he has had his eyes, means he has a strong liking for a woman on the yacht, and he does not disclose the name. And with this suspense, the second section that describes the first day on the yacht ends. Now see the third section. The second day, people on the ship introduce one another, and more drinking and more gossip. The day witnesses a lot of interaction among people on board. Mrs. Jameson advances on Pet. Taliaferro interest in Jenny. Mrs. Moria, here seen crying in the end. In the third section, that describes the people or the passengers on the yacht on their second day, that how they introduce one another. They gossip a lot about the women and drink a lot. We see certain characters like Mrs. Jameson advancing onto Pet, Taliaferro interest in Jenny, and when Mrs. Patricia Moria, a patron, a lover to art and sculpture, sees all that, she feels very much sad and feels very much all alone and lying in the bed crying a lot. With that, the third section that describes the second day of these people on the yacht ends. Now see the third means fourth section. The third day sees Pat and David going off board for the town of Manville. Sexual advances and artistic discussion go on. The boat, Mrs. Wiseman's interest in Jenny evident. Growing tired of eating, drinking, gossiping, the passengers now join together to pull the ship from the place it is marooned. Everything returns to normal by the end of the day. So in the fourth section, we see that the ship, the yacht, Nausicaa, they are traveling in, arrives at a town named Manville, where David, another character, and Pat, niece to Mrs. Patricia Moria, they are close together and they leave the ship here because they want to explore, they want to enjoy the Manville town. So they leave the boat, means ship, and go to enjoy the town. Here what happens further? See, sexual advances and artistic discussion. Here people go on talking. One woman is just advancing on to the other to the other, so on and so forth. It happens. Mrs. Wiseman interest in Jenny evident, growing tired. Now people, since the boat, and one thing remember very important, here we get to know in the fourth section that describe the third day on the yacht. Here we get to know that the yacht is stuck in the mud, badly stuck in the mud. Now people, after drinking continually for 3 days making advancement, talking all about this and that. They are tired of all that. Now they all together try to pull the Nausicaa, means the yacht, out of the mud, but they fail. And here by the end of the section 4th, we see everything becomes normal. Now let's see what happens on the in the 5th section that describe the 4th day on the yacht. The 4th day sees David gone in search of a better job. Now it means after moving about the town Manville, David and Pet return in the 4th section, because in the 5th section that describe their 4th day on the yacht, we see David once again goes out of the ship. Why? Because the ship is marooned, the ship is stuck in the mud. He goes in the search of a better job. The boat is still stuck. Nobody knows where Gordon is, and here we also get to know that Gordon is also missing from the ship. So here we get to know that those people who bring Pat and Gordon in the 4th section, those people bring the missing Gordon in the 5th section. See, brought Pat and David back to boat, bring Gordon back. In the absence of David, Gordon gets a chance to get closer to Pat. The tugboat comes and frees the ship and everyone dancing in the evening, and Taliaferro ends up engaging Moria in end. And here in the section 5th, just Gordon appears. Some people bring Gordon back on the boat. When here Gordon gets back on the yacht, just named Nausicaa, there he finds David is not there because he's gone in the search of a better job. Now here he finds a golden opportunity to get closer to that woman. He has great interest, and because of her he came on this trip, that is Pat. Here tugboat, the boat that pulls Nausicaa yacht out of the mud, comes, and now it pulls the yacht out of the mud. Now all the people in are very happy and they celebrate the occasion in the evening. And the 5th section of the novel ends with the engagement of Mr. Ernest Taliaferro and Mrs. Patricia Moria. Now the last section, this is the epilogue. This section brings all the passengers back on land into their individual lives. Now I told you that in the 6th section we see, the 6th section describes all the people back on the land into their places, into their individuals. Jenny and Pet return to their families. Jenny and Pet get back to their families. Mark Frost and Mrs. Jameson find love in each other and begin relationship. Remember that these two characters, Mark Frost and Mrs. Jameson, find love in each other and make a relationship, settle down. Gordon tells that he has shifted from working with marble to clay and has modeled from it a likeness of Mrs. Moria. Now Gordon declares that now he has stopped making just statues of marbles and stones. Instead, he has now developed an interest in making statues and things out of the clay, means out of the mud, and the first thing that he makes is based or is on the model of Mrs. Patricia Moria. Mr. Taliaferro visits Fairchild. He finds way to be more successful with women. The novel ends as he attempts to call Fairchild, but on the other end is the only operator who says sarcastically, quote, "You tell them, big boy, treat them rough." So with this the novel ends. Remember that. You need to, or we all need to remember the publication, second published novel, 1927 publication, setting of the novel in the context of place, New Orleans, and the yacht, the ship, Nausicaa, name of the ship, Nausicaa, remember, important. Just who does host this trip? Mrs. Patricia Moria, a rich, just a patron of art and sculpture. Time mentioned in the novel, or setting of the time, late, just summer, when mosquito caused a lot of complications in New Orleans. Important, very very important characters, since this is the second novel and the minor novel of William Faulkner. All you need to bear in mind the important characters like the protagonist, just Mr. Ernest Taliaferro, dealing in wholesale clothing, just articles of the women, articles of the just widowed women. Second, Gordon, a sculptor who does not believe in talking a lot. Third important character, Mrs. Patricia Moria, a rich lady who just arranges that 4-day trip on her probably yacht by the name Nausicaa. So hope, my dear friends, this summary and these important facts will help you understand this novel to great extent. Provide, if you find anything difficult in this in this video, do let me know, my dear friends. Thank you, friends.